Okay, part two of our series, my series, acting like I'm a fucking enterprise or something, on how to go from Orthodox into Southpaw efficiently, defensively responsible, quickly, all that good stuff. Didn't come up with a better, concise summary than that. Probably should have, especially if we're not good at it, right? So in this case, it's a little more intermediate. So we're going to be actively seeking that position out. So before, we were just getting put into that position by virtue of our opponent pivoting clockwise. So we had to either shell up and pivot to defend against it, or shell up, twist, step back, so on. Now we're going to be looking for an angle like that on here. We're not going to be doing so pivoting because that wouldn't put us into Southpaw, which was the point of this video. Otherwise, it's a different video altogether. So we're going to be looking at some ways to do that. Now, some of you are going to notice it looks a lot like what Mike Tyson used to do. The difference being that he would bob and weave, jab, get his way in, and step, and then come up like that. We're going to do that in more advanced parts of this in the later videos, but for this, we're going to be doing it with a step. Now, this is my opponent, right? Just going to show you the angle. I'm there. He's here. We got the general angle, right? I can't just take one step and expect to be in good position, right? Because actually, I'm in bad position now. He's got good position on me because I'm very square to him. He's got all this real estate. My balance is off. If he punched me, there's nowhere to really go with my feet because I'll cross over. It's just no bueno for a lot of reasons, right? Can't take a giant step because I'm too extended. And again, he can just pop me right here. Not going to jump because, well, it's just ridiculous. And it takes a lot of energy. I don't need to explain why that's dumb, right? And I probably don't want to take multiple steps. Not because it's irresponsible or anything. It's just I won't get in because he'll have time to make a move on me, right? So I got to find a way to cover all this distance one step. There's a couple ways to do that. Probably the simplest one to learn is the step and slide, right? So I'm going to take my rear foot, which is my right foot. We're going into Southpaw from Orthodox. I'm going to step my new rear foot, which is my prior front foot, my left foot. It's going to slide with me. Then I'm going to twist, right? And now I'm in this position where I can go to the body, go to the head, like Tyson might, right? So full speed, right? Maybe some little fakes, dancing around, testing him, and then pop, pow, right? And to save time, if I'm not at the stage where I can do this slide and pivot in one motion, which is what you're going to do next, I'm going to do it on the first punch, right? I'm going to slide, and then the first punch I throw is where I'm going to get into proper position. After that, I'm going to show you how to do this footwork. After this, I'm just showing you the progression first. After that is, I don't really have a name for this, other than like a double hop. It'll look like a jump until I show it to you up close, but instead of a slide, it's, right, really exaggerated. It'll look like, right? So I'm pushing off with my front foot, and I'm landing with my front foot first in my new stance. Right foot coming in, right? This one is most advanced. It's hardest to learn because it's the mechanics are really not intuitive, but you can cover the most ground that way, I would say. The slide is fine too, though. There's applications to both of them. So going into like the progression, can't find my fucking water. Okay, it's over here. Mouth is dry. Progression of how you'd actually learn this. First, even though I said this is no bueno, I still want you to learn how to step, right? How to step and which angle you're going to step, because you're going to have to realize, like with an opponent or something that simulates an opponent, okay, this is not the right angle because I'm too close. This is not the right angle because I'm too far, right? So you're going to have to get this down and realize, right? From there, You're just going to step and try to slide your foot a little bit. Just take it with you, right? Doesn't have to turn, doesn't have to do anything. Just let it come with you a little bit. If it bumps off the floor a bit, that's okay. If it comes up, that's okay. You're just trying to figure this out first, right? The way you're shifting your weight, come a little closer so you can see. So your front foot in Orthodox, so your left foot, is the one pushing off. It's like if you were to jump forward off one leg, or at like the top of a squat, but moving forward. Your rear foot, you're pushing off a bit, but more with the heel, like a calf raise, and it's more like a knee raise than it is like a push, right? Because you're not pushing like that. You will with a little bit. This is just to transfer your weight and your momentum forward. Most of the force that transfers you is with the front foot. This is why the mechanics are awkward, because you're using the front foot to go forward, and then that lands first and then becomes the new back foot. It's very strange, right? That's why the one where you do the double jump is quite difficult. But for the slide, it's the same mechanics with the body weight, which is just bend, forward, lift, rear foot up, all in one motion, right? And as you're stepping, you're transferring your body weight, and then you're just going to slide to start, right? It's very hard to show slowly because you need momentum to do it. But, you start slow and then you start seeing. You see that when I land, I want to bend my knee a bit, both knees, kind of like I'm in a lunge, right? Because if I land like this, bad for my knee health, but also I'll be it'll be like a shock. Like there's no cushion, right? Bad for balance, bad for the knee health, right? So slowly again. Bend front knee. Back foot. Calf comes up. Just to push my weight forward. And like I'm doing if you do knees like you're a Muay Thai or a kickboxer or whatever, kind of like doing a knee. And you want to do this with as little latency period with the floor as possible, meaning the least amount of time that your feet are off the floor, which is why you do this in this strange way where the front foot changes and hops and all that. But also the least high off the floor where you can, because that's too high, right? Where you can still slide. Because if something happens, like something changes, and you need to switch direction, or you need to get your base quickly at a different distance to like move back, like if he moved when you're trying to do this, if you're all the way up here, it takes a long time to get back down, right? And if you get hit in some way, you want to be close to the floor so you can absorb it quickly, right? Should be pretty obvious, right? So, set again. Front leg. Put the weight on the front leg, like you're landing in the jump, kind of. Then you're gonna push off with the rear foot, the ankle, like a calf raise, up, slide. From here, once you've got that down, and down meaning like something that looks at least like that, right? I'm trying to do it slowly so you can see it. Then I want you to add this at the end, just the twist, right? To where you're very square, right? You don't have to twist this much. You can twist a little bit less. Might want to build on it, right? Maybe at first it's just like that, and then you're twisting like this. Because you're not going to be doing this at the same angle every time, and it would be nice to have deeper and deeper angles you can do this at. Especially if you get to the point where you can intercept your opponent's movement, so you know he's going this direction, but he's not there yet. So you can come here and then preemptively get him, so his momentum is going into you. That's going to cause a knockout. But like I said, so you're building it from here. Slide, twist. Once you got that down, you can add the punch, right? Twist with the punch. I would say throw an uppercut, shovel hook, or a hook to the body. You could also do it the head, but the easiest is that 1-2, right? And this is just offensive at this point. I'm going to go into the defense and the advanced version of how to retreat and do this, right? Once you've got that down, now you're going to want to learn the hardest part, which is this double jump, right? So this mechanics are the same with the body weight, with stepping forward onto this leg, weight comes up, my rear foot, like I'm doing a knee raise, like I'm at the top of a jump or a squat with my front foot, except I'm gonna land with my back foot, my new back foot, a little bit quicker than my front foot. It might not even look that way, especially when I'm doing these demonstrations slowly, but it's gonna be like that, right? And the reason why you want to be able to learn this is just basically the distance, because everything is the same defensively. Like it's still responsible as the slide, but you can cover a lot more ground. Like if I really, really wanted to, I might even go out of camera range if I do this. But I really wanted to get an angle, like my opponent is coming in or whatever. I can come all the way there, right? Come from here, right? If he's turning, or I can come out, whatever. That's pretty far. I can't slide that far. All right, I can slide pretty far, but I can't do it that far. Why you want to have, I might have already explained this a little bit, but why you want to have this foot take off and then land is you need to have the least latency period with the floor. Drill this into your mind, because it's not just with this drill, it's with everything. When you learn how to skip rope, first you jump in like this, then a little bit less, then it doesn't even look like you're off the floor. Same if you're stepping like this. Many reasons, but energy management is probably up there, and if you get hit, you want to be closest to the floor. You don't want to get hit while you're in the air, so you lower the frequency that you do get hit while you're in the air. But also, momentum, right? If my momentum is going back and I'm low to the ground, I can just step down. Because once we get into the more defensive where I'm like transitioning backwards, it's a little more obvious. But if I got hit backwards and I'm low down on the floor, my momentum is going with it. Hopefully I don't get hit while I'm going into this, because it's not a very good angle to get hit at. This might mean that you have to practice this quite a bit with a partner. Now, after you've learned this, like the actual mechanics before you put it in a fight, I hope so. And it might mean that you need to adjust your stance while you do it, your hand stance, right? Maybe if you got it a little bit more low, when you do this, you got to come up, right, just in case. And that's one of the reasons why Tyson has this hand stance, right? He does it differently, but that's the main reason. Just going a little bit more nuanced or in depth with this last part, like the double hop, because it's very tricky. Just do it slowly more times. Just go back, put this on 0.25 playback, whatever you got to do. Like I said, momentum forward, down a bit, pop up with the front lead foot, back foot comes up. Make sure you're doing like a calf raise, right? And your new rear foot, that was your lead foot, it's going to do the same thing, like a little calf raise. Once it does the calf raise, it's basically just dropping. It's like the subtlest little step and drop. Of course, when you do it, it looks a little better. Right? Hopefully you can get it from that. Skipping rope will help you with this. Learning better footwork in general will get you with this. In general, the step and hop version is probably unnecessary if you're proficient with the slide. It really opens up other defenses, other offenses. Like for more advanced, it'll be in the other videos and more deep concepts. But like in a vacuum in isolation, it's probably unnecessary. And I guess I should probably also tell you just where you'd want to be able to go from here with either of them. This applies to either the slide or the double jump. Is eventually you don't want to have to get here and then punch to pivot. You can do that still. It's pretty much fine, because if they got to you before you were punched, the punch isn't going to work anyways, right? Unless you really good aim or whatever. But you're trying to surprise your opponent. But eventually you want to be able to do it to where the pivot is in the same motion, right? So I pivoted while I was doing that. And that just takes a lot of practice. You're going to have to learn how to do this first and then slow it down. or if you're doing the slide, you know, and twist, you'll learn it. It's kind of, there isn't really a way to go more, to break it down into further steps. It's just trial and error, and that's a lot with boxing, especially because you're going to have different balance than I do, your weight distribution, your limb lengths, all this stuff. So that's kind of more advanced. I'll go with maybe intermediate advanced. The next video will be how to retreat, so defense along with the offense, and some more advanced concepts of how it would actually apply in a fight, what you'd actually be doing tactically.